Picture this. You're fast asleep in a tent, completely out, totally helpless. Just a paper-thin sheet of nylon separates you from a pitch-black forest full of apex predators. Wolves, bears, and cougars that can literally hear your heartbeat from across a clearing. To them, a sleeping human is just slow, defenseless meat. Yet, you wake up perfectly fine every single morning. Why? Why aren't predators circling campsites like an all-you-can-eat buffet? The answer isn't luck. It's an ancient, invisible agreement written into our DNA that makes us the most terrifying thing in the dark. Let's talk about why the wild is absolutely terrified of you. 1. The myth of the vulnerable camper. Imagine the scene. You are completely unconscious, lost in a deep sleep, drooling on your pillow, and snoring softly. In this state, your awareness of the environment is effectively zero. Biologically speaking, you are completely defenseless. Now, shift that mental picture away from the safety of your brick-and-mortar bedroom. Instead, you are lying inside a tent, separated from the vast, dark wilderness by nothing more than a ridiculously thin sheet of nylon. Right outside that flimsy fabric is a dense forest teeming with apex predators, wolves, bears, leopards, and cougars. These are magnificent, lethal creatures that can pinpoint your heartbeat from across a wide clearing, track your scent from miles away, and navigate the pitch-black night with flawless precision. Yet, despite being nothing more than slow, defenseless meat to them, you wake up perfectly fine every single morning. It raises a fascinating evolutionary question. Why aren't predators circling campsites like a midnight buffet? If you find yourself captivated by these hidden mysteries of the natural world, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss our deep dives into the extraordinary secrets of survival. The truth behind why we are left unharmed isn't a matter of luck. It is a complex, multi-layered reality. It represents an ancient, invisible boundary between humanity and the wild, stretching back long before civilized history began. It is a biological agreement written in blood, fear, and survival. And to truly understand how it protects you tonight, we have to look beneath the surface of the animal kingdom. 2. The evolutionary trauma of apex predators. To understand why a mountain lion won't tear through your tent, you have to realize that humans are evolutionary monsters to the animal kingdom. On paper, a single human is a physical failure. We lack sharp talons, we run remarkably slowly, our brute strength is unimpressive, and our night vision is terrible. However, our species has spent nearly 2 million years acting as the most systematic, devastating killers the planet has ever seen. We hunted massive woolly mammoths into oblivion, wiped out giant ground sloths, and eradicated ancient cave bears across entire continents. In more recent history, human expansion systematically poisoned, trapped, and shot wolves and cougars until they were wiped out from vast portions of their native territories. This relentless warfare fundamentally altered the genetics of surviving wildlife. A landmark 2019 study by researchers at UC Santa Cruz beautifully demonstrated this deep-seated trauma. Biologists placed hidden speakers near mountain lions in California and played recordings of ordinary human conversations. The reaction was stunning. These apex predators, capable of effortlessly snapping a deer's neck, fled instantly upon hearing a casual human voice. They ran just as fast, if not faster, than they did from barking hounds. Crucially, the pumas frequently abandoned fresh kills they had spent massive amounts of energy securing, choosing to go hungry rather than remain near a human presence. This behavior isn't a conscious choice, it is natural selection. Over thousands of generations, the bold predators that approached human settlements were systematically executed. The ones that survived to reproduce were those possessing an intense instinctual terror of us. Today, when a large predator detects a human, an ancient genetically wired alarm goes off in its nervous system, screaming at it to retreat. 3. The sensory shockwave of human odor. When you sleep out in nature, you are unconsciously broadcasting a massive, confusing, and highly repulsive chemical signature into the environment. Humans generally perceive themselves as relatively odorless because we are accustomed to our own biology. But to a predator, we smell incredibly loud. To put this into perspective, a wolf can track a scent from miles away under optimal conditions, while a bear possesses a sense of smell roughly 7 times more acute than that of a bloodhound. Big cats utilize a specialized sensory tool called the Jacobson's organ in the roof of their mouth, which essentially allows them to taste chemical particles floating through the air. When an apex predator approaches a campsite, its hypersensitive olfactory system is immediately overwhelmed by a wave of bizarre data. You do not smell like anything that belongs in their ecosystem. Instead, you smell like a walking chemistry lab. You are covered in synthetic nylon fibers, laundry detergents, artificial body washes, sunscreens, and chemical insect repellents. On top of that, you project the scent of highly processed foods, snacks, and unique primate pheromones. Predatory hunting instincts are not vague or generalized. They are highly specialized algorithms, finely tuned over millennia to recognize the specific scent, shape, and movement of traditional prey like deer, elk, or rabbits. You represent a massive biological anomaly. In the harsh world of wildlife, unfamiliarity does not inspire curiosity or hunger. It inspires extreme caution. A predator looking at a sleeping human smells a strange, unnatural entity that does not fit the profile of a safe meal, causing them to steer completely clear of the area. 4. The primordial repellent of the campfire. Long before humanity developed agriculture, built permanent architecture, or invented writing, we mastered the manipulation of fire. Discovered roughly 1 to 2 million years ago, the ability to control fire became our ultimate shield against the dark. In the natural world, fire is one of the very few stimuli that triggers a universal, unlearned fear response across almost every single terrestrial animal. This terror is completely innate. Animals that possessed an instinctive urge to run away from smoke survived devastating wildfires, while those that lacked this instinct perished. The fear is so deeply embedded in evolutionary code that even laboratory-raised animals that have never seen a single spark will show immediate avoidance behavior when exposed to the scent of smoke. For hundreds of thousands of years, sleeping directly beside a blazing campfire was standard operating procedure for human groups. While we, modern campers, view a fire as a cozy aesthetic choice for roasting marshmallows or staying warm, its primary historical function was that of a powerful wildlife repellent. A campfire acts as a beacon in the night, broadcasting a clear, intimidating message into the surrounding shadows. An entity capable of taming a destructive force of nature is resting here. Predators understand this visual and olfactory warning perfectly. The message has been delivered so consistently over millions of years that it no longer requires active decoding by the animal. The moment the scent of burning wood and the flicker of orange light reach a predator's senses, its brain automatically triggers a defensive detour, keeping your campsite safe from curiosity. 5. The extreme risk aversion of wild predators. Hollywood cinema has spent decades lying to us about the nature of apex predators, painting them as reckless, bloodthirsty monsters that attack anything that moves. In reality, large predators are among the most calculating, risk-averse gamblers on Earth because they absolutely have to be. A wild lion or wolf doesn't have access to medical care, a veterinary clinic, or an antibiotic prescription. In the unforgiving wilderness, a seemingly minor injury, a deep scratch, a chipped tooth, a sprained joint, or a damaged eye is frequently a delayed death sentence. If an animal's ability to hunt is compromised even slightly, it will rapidly face starvation and death. Therefore, every single encounter with an unknown creature requires a strict mathematical calculation of risk versus reward. A sleeping human completely fails a predator's risk assessment on multiple fronts. First, we are deeply unpredictable. A lion knows exactly how a zebra will flee, where its blind spots are, and how it kicks when trapped. It has no idea how a human will react when startled. We might scream, throw rocks, swing sharp tools, or counterattack aggressively. Second, our physical stature is a natural deterrent. Humans are bipedal, meaning we stand upright on 2 legs. In the animal kingdom, standing vertically is an explicit threat display used by bears and silverback gorillas to terrify rivals. Even when a human is lying down, our structural silhouette hints at this imposing vertical nature. Why would a healthy predator risk a potentially fatal injury attacking an unpredictable, bizarrely shaped, tall creature when there are perfectly familiar, easily hunted prey animals available nearby? 6. The sentinel function of human sleep. When you fall asleep in a tent, you likely feel as though your consciousness has been completely turned off, leaving you entirely oblivious to the world. However, human biology features a brilliant built-in security system. Human sleep is not a monolithic block of darkness. Rather, it operates in distinct cycles. We descend into deep, slow-wave sleep. But we regularly cycle back up into lighter stages of sleep, including REM states where our brains are incredibly active. During these lighter phases, our brains remain highly vigilant and responsive to the surrounding environment. Scientists refer to this protective evolutionary adaptation as the sentinel function of sleep, acting as an internal night watchman. Your sleeping brain continually filters background noise, but it instantly flags any unfamiliar, sudden, or threatening sensory inputs. A heavy footstep in the brush, the sharp snap of a nearby twig, or a sudden shift in air pressure will register in your subconscious and pull you toward full wakefulness far faster than you realize. This is a direct inheritance from our ancient ancestors. The early humans who slept too deeply and failed to react to subtle nighttime threats were naturally weeded out of the gene pool. The individuals who survived were the light sleepers, those capable of transitioning from total unconsciousness to on-their-feet defensive readiness in a matter of seconds. We sleep in shorter, lighter bursts than many other large mammals because our evolutionary history required us to maintain a partial watch over the dangerous, unpredictable night. 7. The intimidating defense of the group. Another critical factor keeping you safe during a camping trip is our inherent nature as social creatures. Humans rarely venture out into the deep wilderness entirely alone. We travel, hike, and camp in groups. To an observing predator, a collection of tents and people is not viewed as a series of isolated targets, but rather as a unified pack. Throughout the animal kingdom, predators possess a profound understanding of group dynamics because their survival depends on deciphering them. When hunting a herd of wildebeest or a school of fish, a predator never charges headlong into the center of the mass. Instead, they patiently watch the edges, searching for separation, isolation, or weakness. They look for the sick calf that falls behind or the injured adult cut off from the collective. A human campsite completely denies them this strategic advantage. A cluster of tents represents a highly concentrated group of dangerous primates. Furthermore, predators understand that social animals protect one another. If a predator attempts to breach a campsite to target a single sleeping individual, the high probability of that person waking up, panicking, and making noise means the entire group will instantly be alerted. A quiet, low-risk kill suddenly transforms into a chaotic, highly dangerous group defense scenario where the predator is outnumbered by angry, tool-wielding opponents. Since large carnivores are structurally evolutionary opportunists, the mere presence of a group dynamic makes the tactical calculation of attacking a campsite incredibly unappealing, forcing them to look elsewhere for an isolated meal. 8. The tragic exceptions and ecological cascades. While the invisible boundary between humans and predators holds true nearly all the time, it is vital to acknowledge that tragic exceptions do occur. However, these rare attacks follow a highly predictable pattern. They only happen when the traditional rules of nature have been broken. Every documented historical case of man-eating predators involves an animal pushed to absolute desperation by external forces. For example, the famous Tsavo lions that terrorized a Kenyan railway in 1898, or the Champawat tiger of India, were later discovered to have suffered severe, agonizing dental injuries. They could no longer hunt fast, powerful wild prey, forcing them to target humans out of sheer starvation. Other exceptions occur when an animal is old, sick, or when human tourism acclimatizes wildlife to associate people with free food handouts instead of danger. Regrettably, our ability to terrify the animal kingdom has become so powerful that it is currently destabilizing entire ecosystems. As highlighted by the 2019 UC Santa Cruz study, when apex predators like mountain lions abandon vast territories simply to avoid the sound of human voices, a destructive ecological cascade occurs. Without the presence of these top predators, local deer populations explode, leading to severe overgrazing of native vegetation. Simultaneously, medium-sized carnivores like foxes and coyotes flee human zones, causing rodent populations to swell unchecked. Our ancient reputation as the ultimate apex predator precedes us everywhere we go. So, the next time you lie awake in a tent, feeling a sudden surge of primal anxiety at the sounds of the dark, remember that your fear is normal. But rest easy, because the creature lurking outside in the shadows is far more terrified of you.